now. Good morning, PASW staff, clients, friends joining us for a lovely Film Scoring Monday. Hope you guys had a good, restful weekend. Not too restful because busy week ahead, super busy. But that's okay. We're going to have fun when we get into this. Film Scoring Monday, of course, is when we look at a film and I take out the music, which isn't easy, but my problem, not yours. And you come up with the best possible choice. You guys get better and better. I know I say that every class, but it's very true. I really want to compliment you guys on taking direction well, thinking about this. I mean, it's so great to do this. I don't even know how many we've done. 2,000 maybe? No, not quite that many, but we've done a lot of classes on film scoring. So terrific. Film scoring, music supervision, whatever we want to call it. I'm calling you guys composers. Let's do that. And so, I mean, fantastic job with Fantasia. That was really cool how you chose a piece of classical music, pre-existing music already. And the fun doesn't stop today either. We're going to look at, it's a strange romantic film, drama really. And I say strange, but you know, we'll get into that later. But this is going to be another fun assignment for us about intimacy in music. So without further ado, let's take a look at Paul Thomas Anderson's film Phantom Thread. Phantom Thread came out 4 years ago. See, it's not like I only do old movies, black and white movies. This director is Paul Thomas Anderson is still alive. He's only 50, very young, and it's a historical drama, written, directed, and also photographed. The cinematography was also by Paul Thomas Anderson. So usually a director doesn't do that. He has a cinematographer that he works with. And this time Paul Thomas Anderson worked with the crew, but mostly with the camera, which is a very cool thing. Orson Welles did that. Kubrick, other directors kind of would take the camera in their own hands. Usually the director tells the cameraman and the cinematographer, this is how the shot should be. But Paul Thomas Anderson decided to take on the reins by himself. So we got to get over to England because I think it's in Europe, right? So let's go from La Brea and let's go over to England where they shot this movie. They shot it for $35 million. It made about $47 million. Not a huge box office success, but stars one of the great Daniel Day-Lewis in his last role. He retired after this. I was checking. So far, he kept his word. He hasn't been in a movie since then. So, and he is a dressmaker. That's what he is. This is 1950s England, so right after the war, and he takes this young waitress that he meets as his muse. So it's the first Paul Thomas Anderson film filmed outside of the United States. Usually, he's famous for doing all of his movies in the San Fernando Valley, which is where he grew up. We've looked at Boogie Nights, that opening long shot scene, in our master shot class, where the master shot doesn't cut at all. Paul Thomas Anderson loves doing these kind of shots, which are very tricky and hard to set up because if something goes wrong in the 4-minute mark, you got to start all the way from the beginning. And all the choreography of the actors coming in and out, it looks so simple, and I am so impressed when somebody can do it so flawlessly. So we looked at that with Boogie Nights, but we didn't really talk about his other films. You've probably seen his other films. There Will Be Blood was very popular. My personal favorite is Punch Drunk Love, and Magnolia. He did a pretty prolific auteur who writes and directs his movies. So, and then this is his fourth collaboration with composer Jonny Greenwood. We'll talk about Jonny Greenwood in a little bit. But Daniel Day-Lewis is Reynolds Weinstock, that's his name, and he lives in this house with his sister, Cyril, Leslie Manville, and they're at the center of British fashion. So their job is to dress royalty, to dress movie stars, socialites, and so very beautiful women come in and out of the house, and he's a costume fitter. He makes them look beautiful. He's kind of this genius figure who has this eye for making women look beautiful, feel beautiful. But he's also this bachelor, so there's a lot of tension with how he maintains control over some of these women, including the waitress that he meets later. So everything is very carefully tailored. The threading, the whole design of how a woman looks, specifically in the 50s in England. And I think Paul Thomas Anderson, he does a good job in dissecting the power structure, because obviously Daniel Day-Lewis's character is the powerful male figure, and it's interesting to see the power dynamics in this movie with concerning him and other women. So Jonny Greenwood is, if you don't know him, you know the band that he's in, Radiohead. He's the lead guitarist. Radiohead formed in 1985. Multi-instrumentalist. First instrument was a recorder that he started playing when he was 4 or 5, and played Baroque music with the recorder as a teenager, and learned to play the viola, and joined the youth orchestra. So had pretty good training in music as a kid, but then decided, instead of going to study classical composition, continuing with this band called Radiohead. And probably this is when going to get a further education is not the best idea, because obviously the band is huge. He started kind of arranging music for Radiohead as a band member. I mean, he was a keyboardist, the lead guitarist, like I said, but he would describe his role as an arranger. So this score is very interesting because it has a different sound. He spent a lot of time with the director on what would Daniel Day-Lewis's character, what would he be listening to? What kind of music is going on in the 1950s? They did a lot of research about what was popular, and mostly the score is piano and strings, and it sounds very much like music that could be played in that part of that time period in England in the 50s. And there's a lot of influence from Bill Evans, the jazz pianist that we looked at. When we listen to the music as we're listening, I mean, you can hear a lot of the piano. And not so much piano improvisation, but Bill Evans' voicings and chord voicings that we looked at. Another pianist was Glenn Gould that he was influenced by. Gould was one of the most famous classical pianists of the 20th century. He would hum sometimes in his recordings, but he's probably the most famous pianist that would do all of the Bach, Goldberg variations, and worked a lot with Leonard Bernstein. So Glenn Gould was a real prodigy genius. So Glenn Gould, Bill Evans, these two different pianists going on in the 50s. And then Jonny Greenwood was really inspired by kind of light jazz, the jazz of Ben Webster. We haven't talked about him, but Ben Webster had a very famous saxophone sounding, very soft, very light, smooth, breathy sound. And there's an album that he came out with, Music for Loving, and that had a lot of string arrangements with the saxophone above it. So he was also influenced by Nelson Riddle's orchestra. Nelson Riddle was Frank Sinatra's arranger for the most part. So he's using sounds from the 50s, kind of and it's not pastiche in a way where it's a commentary on that sound. It's really kind of sounds like it could be from the 50s. Let's take a look at the beginning. This is going to be your scene, but then I'm going to just shorten it our assignment down a little bit, but just want to show you just the beginning of how the movie opens with the score. Very moody. It puts you in the mood very well. He's getting dressed. You can tell this is a man of precise detail, of a routine that he does every morning, perfection with his socks, with his shaving. It's the close-ups. It's very rich and very and the music works so well. So that piano sounding is beautiful. It's got that, like I said, Bill Evans, Glenn Gould piano sound that kind of sounds like a piano almost from the 1950s. The strings are just lovely. It's a different score. What I liked about it when I first saw the movie, because I was scared that I was going to be bored, because some of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies are really long, but immediately the music, I was so intrigued by the movie because the music drew me into, whoa, this score, this is a new score. This sounds like it's a classic film score, and this is actually written for the movie, and I just thought it was lovely. So let's take a look at your scene, and without the music. Obviously, I didn't put in any sounds of shaving or anything like that. I just added room tone sound, and let's see what it looks like. So what I want to do with this assignment is I really want you to find a piece of music that is intimate. This is not epic at all. This is nothing like Ten Commandments. This is not, there's no adventure, I really want, you can hear with the piano is very intimate sounding. And we know what intimacy is. Closeness, right? Sensitivity. This is not anything Mexican sounding. This is not, it could be American sounding, but what I really want you to find is something that's so intimate, like the score that we're listening to. That's it could be piano solo, but it's not going to be a huge symphony. This is a very intimate moment with him getting ready, shaving, putting on socks, making everything. I know I'm doing this a lot, but making everything beautiful. I want us to find something that's sensitive and intimate. Something that speaks to you that is not, huge epic sounding. So let's see if we can come up with any ideas. Of course, I'm always here to help. And, you can always fax me any questions. I'm just teasing. But if you need to call or whatever. But I really think this is going to be a good, different exercise for us to find something, intimate. I've said it probably 1,000 times this class, but that's the only word I can think of. So if you're listening to different music and wondering what choices could be made, just keep thinking, is this a personal, romantic sound to me? And if it is, then it's going to be the right choice. Because if I'm the director, which I am for this assignment, I want something that sounds like Jonny Greenwood's score. I want a close, romantic, intimate sound. And that's what I want. then I'm gonna get that. I'm just teasing. I like having fun because I'm just sitting here by myself, so I gotta make it interesting. So I know we're gonna do great. Get it to me by tomorrow. No need to rush, and we're gonna see the results on Friday. We're gonna make it a great week. It's gonna be Bonnie-rific, terrific. It's gonna be Lloyderific. It's gonna be all these things. So looking forward to seeing it. Love you guys and miss you, and you know me, I'm gonna be here tomorrow for you. Okay, bye.